So today I want to talk to you about transparency. And the question that we want to answer is, what does God say about living a transparent life? In Proverbs 28:13 it says, "He who conceals his transgressions shall not prosper, but he who confesses and forsakes them will find compassion." And then in James 5:16, James says to confess your sins to one another and pray for one another so that you may be healed. The effective prayer of a righteous man can accomplish much. I was thinking about the early church, because the early church really shows us what living a transparent life looks like. The scriptures tell us that many of those who believed came and openly confessed their sins and their evil deeds. They openly confessed. They were like an open book before the Lord. They didn't try to cover anything up. They didn't try to hide anything. And I was thinking about maybe for some of us, and I know there's been times in my life when I've had to do this, and sometimes it's just time for us to wipe that grease. I think of that black grease, that grease kind of like makeup, and we wipe it off of our face, and we allow others to see that there's a real human being underneath. There's a real human being that has God-given gifts, but that also has fleshly struggles. See, I have enough energy to be transformed, or I also have enough energy to be covered up, but not both. And it makes far more sense to me to change and to be transparent than to work at covering something up, because guess what? You can try and cover it, and you can put layer and layer and layer upon layer to hide something, to conceal it, but we all know in the end that the truth comes out. And it's not fun to cover up sin. Remember David, he wouldn't confess his sin before the Lord. And he was not in good standing with the Lord because he was concealing his sin. And when he finally confessed, that restored that relationship with him and the Lord. And the truth always comes out, and the truth will set us free. So when I think about living a transparent life, I always think about a few questions I want to ask myself. And I just want you to ponder a few things today. And the first one is, what we want to think about in living a transparent life is, are you and I able to be ourselves no matter who we're with? In other words, can I totally be myself with this group or with that group? I don't change my behavior around people at work as compared to people that I go to church with. Am I the same? Can I be myself no matter who I'm with? The second thing is, are you honest about where your spiritual walk is? You know, sometimes we kind of try and put ourselves up here spiritually, and we know that's not really the case. We're really down here. But are we honest about that? Are we honest about where we are spiritually with the Lord? And then another thing that's really important that I've come to learn in the last few months is, do we have a few friends, or even just one friend, that you can confide in about those deep issues in your life? That person that you can just open yourself up to and pray with, because that's important. We can call them agape groups or accountability groups, but we all need that. That's really truly being transparent. And then the last thing that's so important is, can you own up to your mistakes? And when you make those mistakes, can you say, yep, I blew it. It was all me. It was nobody else. It was just me. And I know that that's something that we all have to learn. And it's not easy, but God calls us to live a transparent life. What does it mean? What does God say about living a transparent life? I'm going to read this verse again because it's so good. Proverbs 28:13. "He who conceals his transgressions shall not prosper, but he who confesses and forsakes them will find compassion." You know what? May God help us to live a transparent life before Him and before man. And God bless you.